What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're going over Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 2022 entry into this long-running and very frustrating franchise. Okay, I'm not going to waste no time. Let's get into it. I think this is one of the worst entries into the entire Chainsaw series. It has some decent moments peppered all throughout. The actor who played Leatherface this time around was not that bad. He wasn't anything special, but he wasn't bad. Aside from one cool scene, this entire movie is literally paint by numbers. This is how you do a generic Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie with no creativity and with just nothing in your arsenal. That's how boring and generic this movie is. It's 81 minutes, but it feels like it's 181 minutes. The movie does not have no intrigue to it. The story sucks. The overall story of this movie is this group of teens of young entrepreneurs buy this small Texas town with the idea to gentrify it. They kick an old lady out of her house, but it's revealed that the old lady actually had the rights to her house. This old lady just so happens to be taking care of Leatherface, who, once this lady dies, goes on a kill rampage. And then, all of a sudden, Sally Hardesty from the first movie is in this thing, and now she's a Texas Ranger who wants to get revenge on Leatherface for what happened to her and her friends. So yeah, this movie tries to be Halloween 2018, but it does not understand Halloween 2018. It doesn't understand what Halloween 2018 was going for. What makes this movie even worse is that I remember the marketing of this movie very, very well. The entire marketing of this movie was pretty much hoping that the fans would remember Sally Hardesty as a character. It was banking on a Sally Hardesty Leatherface feud. But here's the deal. Hardesty and Leatherface, they never had this long-standing feud like Laurie and Michael have that transcend decades. Sally was literally just a one-off, and she barely survived by the skin of her teeth. She meant nothing to the overall pantheon of the Chainsaw franchise. And that's not a dig at Marilyn Burns. She was really good as Sally Hardesty in that first movie. I think in a lot of aspects she came across as annoying. Well, listen, there was never this epic rivalry of Sally versus Leatherface. Like, oh my God, I gotta see this. Honestly, truthfully, I wish you would have brought back Stretch from Chainsaw Part 2. I thought she was a better heroine in the entire Chainsaw franchise. And Caroline Williams is awesome. And Stretch, by association, is awesome also. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. But Sally Hardesty as a character in this movie, nothing against the actress who played her. I've liked her in Mandy, and I thought she was great in Mandy. But in this movie, Sally Hardesty literally feels like she's shoehorned in. Like, Sally Hardesty plays no role in this movie whatsoever. She gets a brief introduction, and then she doesn't do anything till the third act of the movie, where she gets dispatched, where this big epic fight was supposed to happen, but she gets taken out relatively quickly. So yeah, I'm sorry. Sally Hardesty does not have the longevity of a Laurie Strode. No offense to the actress who played Sally Hardesty. Sally Hardesty is a thankless role, to be honest with you. And in this movie, it is a thankless role. You're supposed to make me believe that this character has got decades of trauma because of what happened to her with Leatherface, yet you didn't do a really good job at establishing that. Sally Hardesty feels like a subplot. She feels like a shoehorned in subplot. It's almost as if the creators of this film, which are actually Fede Alvarez and Rogo Seguias, who did the Evil Dead reboot and the Two Don't Breathe movies, with 3 movies that I thought were actually pretty good by this team. They come and do this, and you can clearly tell that they just don't give a shit about the Chainsaw franchise. So why would you give people who don't give a shit about this franchise the keys to this franchise? They're not going to care. You're not going to get no heart. This movie is paint by numbers. It's generic. There's no creativity to it whatsoever. Like I said, aside from one scene. But other than that, this movie it's just not good. This movie really sucks. The characters suck. The only good character is Leatherface because I want him to kill everybody because everyone sucks so much in this movie. Okay, I lied. There's two characters that I kind of liked outside of Leatherface. Their names are Lila and Richter. Lila I like because she's a character who is dealing with the trauma. She survived a really bad school shooting, so she's trying to cope with that. And I like the whole idea of Leatherface being the personification of that turmoil she must overcome. Lila, because of that, is a slightly more interesting character. And then you have the character of Richter, who was just like this big, burly, badass type of dude. I thought this movie was going to do something interesting with him. He and Leatherface were in the beginnings of having a pretty decent hand-to-hand fight until Richter got his ass killed, very thanklessly and like a bitch. So yeah, Richter goes out like a punk. Lila has a decent character arc, but it's rendered useless. And by the end of the movie, so what was the point of even having this character arc? And her sister and her friends, they're just the most unlikable people in this entire movie. They all suck. And they all get dispatched because they all suck. You have William Hope in this movie from Alien 2. He does nothing. He dies. He has like 2 scenes and a half, and he dies. The only really cool scene in this entire movie is the slaughter bus scene where Leatherface kills everyone inside of a party bus. That's legitimately the only decent scene, but it's almost ruined when they try to be a little meta with it, which I thought was kind of stupid. But seeing Leatherface dispatch everyone in an enclosed space was actually pretty cool, and the massacre of the party bus is actually the best scene in the entire movie. It's actually probably one of the better. It's actually I put the party bus slaughter in the ranking of some of the best Leatherface kills of the entire franchise. I do think it was legitimately good. I mean, all the other kills that he does in this movie are just really, really bland and generic and have no creativity whatsoever. You know, he bashes a guy's face in with a hammer. I've seen that more than once. He slices you up with a chainsaw. I've seen that more than once. You know, I really wanted to like this movie. I knew when this movie came out that it was either going to be passable or it was just going to suck. I didn't think it was going to suck as bad as it did. I'll say this, it's better than Chainsaw 3D because that movie just flat out sucks. I ain't going to say it's better than the Leatherface prequel because I thought that was actually decent. But this movie, I'd rank this higher than Generation. I mean, because Generations is inexcusable. But like I said, this movie has nothing really going for it. It has a very talented creative team who clearly have no love or passion for this franchise. And supposedly, the original cut of this movie had to get refilmed because the creators didn't like it. And that's where Daniel Blue Garcia came in. If by comparison this version was better than what came before, I want to see what came before, because maybe what came before was better than this piece of shit. I'm sorry. I know I am ranking this movie over the coals because it's just not good. It's just not a good Chainsaw movie. It sucks. It just really sucks. Leatherface in the modern day, it just doesn't gel. It doesn't work. You can do Michael in the modern day, and it works for the most part. You do Leatherface in the modern day, it just doesn't work. And then you try to tack on a very forced rivalry that was just never existent in the entire franchise. Yet you're trying to manipulate me, a fan of the franchise, into believing that this is a rivalry and rematch that's 50 years in the making. No, it's not. This entire movie should have had Sally and Leatherface at the forefront and at the background. Maybe if you would have did that and fleshed out Sally's trauma much, much more, and the revenge she wants to take on Leatherface for killing Franklin and killing Andy and killing all her friends in that first movie, then maybe I would have bought it. But you didn't do that. You shoehorned her in, and it shows, and it sucks. And I'm stuck with characters in the A-plot who just flat out suck, with the exception of 2.5. So yeah. And like I said, Lila's entire character arc is rendered useless because after her sister does the kill shot on Leatherface, Leatherface ends up not dying and he cuts the bitch's head off while her sister's screaming in a car. And then the movie tries to tease you with a post-credit of Leatherface going back to the original farmhouse. If you do make more Leatherface movies, if you do make more Chainsaw movies, I beg you, come up with a more interesting story. Better yet, Leatherface does not work when he does not have his family around him. When you take away the family aspect around Leatherface, he's just a generic slasher with no uniqueness to him. But when you bring in the Sawyer family, you instantly add some uniqueness to the Leatherface character. And I don't know what the obsession is for the last couple of Chainsaw movies where they continue to shy away from the family aspect of the Chainsaw Massacres. That's what made these movies interesting and stand out, was the Sawyer family. Bring them back. I'm begging you, please bring them back. So yeah, listen, with all that being said, I'm just going to give this movie a solid 3 out of 10. This is one of the worst entries in the Chainsaw movies. It's better than Texas Chainsaw 3D, but at the same time, it has nothing new to offer, and it's just not that good. It sucks. Halloween Kills is a better movie by comparison to this. So yeah, 3 out of 10 for Texas Chainsaw 2022. Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.